Yeah, we're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football, and you've just crossed over into the trend zone. Casey here with Dave. We are the football dudes. Dave, are you ready, brother?
Yes, sir. Playoff ready.
Playoffs? We talking
who's,
playoffs?
who said anything about playoffs?
All right. You've just crossed over into the trend zone. It is January 8th. We're coming to you from Los Angeles, California. If you're watching any bit of the news, you know that the fires are raging out here. So we're putting some good energy out there, hoping that everybody remains safe. And it's brutal out here right now. Football seems a little bit trivial, but we're going to go ahead and do the best we can because that's what we do. We are the football dudes. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about a couple new riders on the coaching carousel, some big time incentives, made some big time paydays for a handful of players, some impactful injuries headed into the postseason, a tiny little bit of survivor, and all of the wild card games from Wild Card Weekend. Dave, but before we take a trip into the trend zone, you can't do it without the Nugulars. Tell me you are holding for the people, brah.
Yes, sir. And by the way, just for the record, I will not call it Super Wildcard Weekend just because they added two more games. Let's just call it Wildcard.
Wild card.
Okay, you got it. All right, Casey, here's my nug for the people. And of course, I'm holding and sharing. It is Vikings Lions attract $28.5 million for the last game of the regular season. That is the third largest ever Sunday Night Football audience. So obviously a pretty exciting football game in matchup. Didn't really pan out quite as much as we'd have liked in terms of competitiveness, but a very awesome way to finish the season in terms of bringing in the viewers. Only a couple of games before that, the 2012 season finale between Washington and Dallas, and the Ravens and Chiefs at the end of the 24 season topped it out. So third best viewing ever for a Sunday night football game on Sunday Night Football.
Dave, and if everybody knew that the Detroit Rock City Lions, were in those sweet
Oh,
black and blue unis, everybody would have tuned in because those things are freaking sweet.
they are rad, and I would have never picked the Vikings in the picks pool there, Casey. Had I known the uniform was going to be those for the Lions, those are sweet.
Got to do that research. Hey, quick reminder, the Trend Zone is now available for subscription on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music.
Yep.
All right, Dave, we're a little bit past Black Monday, my friend, but there are some seats available on the coaching carousel. We lost Robert Saleh during the season,
Yep.
week 7. We lost Dennis Allen, 7-game losing streak. And then we lost the floozy, Matt Eberflus, during the season, who's joining those guys on the unemployment line.
Yeah, right off the bat, it was Jacksonville's Doug Peterson. He got the axe there after a woefully underachieving team there. Another it's a one and done in Patriot land. They get rid of their hand-picked dude, the successor of Belichick, Gerard Mayo. Didn't get much of an opportunity there to show what he was really capable of there. So some tough breaks there. But a
Yeah.
couple of guys did get held on to, Casey. This take it for what it is, but the Giants hold on to and retain head coach Brian Daboll and GM Joe Schoen. So also the Colts are holding on to Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard. I was 100% for that one.
Mhm.
Steichen has that team pointed in the right direction, and you just get one more go round at it, and I think they'll get some stuff together. Also, the Dolphins retain Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer, so that is another good news scenario. Oh, there's one more thing I forgot because this one came a little bit later, Casey, but the Raiders gave the axe to Antonio Pierce. Hate to see a guy like that go, especially after he put up all those points against my beloved Chargers on Thursday Night Football last year towards the end of the year when we were so banged up, and he just kind of ran up the score on us.
Mhm.
Oh, well, good luck in the future, Mr. Pierce.
Yeah, and they do hold on to GM Tom Telesco,
Yeah,
former Charger. And Dave,
no
there
ill will
is
for Mr. Tedesco from this man.
Oh yeah, he's still, even though
Class
he's
guy.
wearing that silver and black.
I still kind of have a
Yeah.
soft spot for him. That's as hard as that is to believe.
Yeah, dude. One dude not on that list is Mike McCarthy from my Cowboys. Jara did not give him permission to talk to the Bears, so
Read
I
into
go
it, Casey.
I go back and forth on this. I could see him bouncing and be okay with
No.
that. I could see him staying and being okay with that. It's really hard to evaluate the team on what happened this year, especially how they didn't spend in free agency and lost a ton of contributors, and Dak gets hurt early on. So, um,
You guys were all in though.
yeah, all in, baby. So we'll see. And Dave, also the Titans, they ran, bro.
Yeah, right. So usually it was the coach going and the GM staying, or both. In this case, the Titans unload GM Rand Carthon. They do have a like pro personnel dude who handles some stuff. So I think this their guy they're looking to replace here will be in charge of the draft. Um, Specifically, but other things. A couple of OCs canned. Seahawks got rid of OC Ryan Grubb. Bengals get rid of DC Lou Anarumo, who was a head coaching candidate just a couple of seasons ago after what they were able to do in the
Oh, he was
postseason.
awesome on the Incredible Hulk, dude, back in the day. I loved him.
That's Lou Ferrigno,
Oh,
Casey.
okay.
But don't make me angry.
You
You
wouldn't
wouldn't
like
like me.
no.
You would not like me when I'm angry. Casey, the Colts part with a guy I actually really admire, Gus Bradley, their defensive coordinator, who was a former Charger for a while. Liked him a lot. Great guy. Just I guess didn't get it done there. So yeah.
And nasty Nick Sorensen, he got 1 year as the DC in San Francisco. He will not return. So
Yeah.
lots of jobs open up every year. We never know who's going to be, and there tends to be a bunch of them. So
There
that's why the
certainly are.
carousel, you got to buckle in and hold on tight. All right, Dave, a lot of roster bonuses came down to the final week, some to the final minutes of the game. Talk about some of the players that got paid on Sunday,
Yeah.
baby.
Geno Smith nailed it, man.
Oh,
Six
yeah.
million, $6 million in his pocket after a really nice game. They missed the playoffs, and it was unfortunate. They knew they were gone, but he went out there and slung it, man. So he got by winning 10 games, throwing for more than 4,282 yards, completing more than 69.755% of his passes. He earned 3 separate $2 million contract escalators. Go Geno
Awesome.
Smith. That guy's pocketing it. I believe he's a free agent, and they have said they want him back.
Yeah.
So he's lining himself up for another big payday. Good news for Geno, man. He was in, one of those guys that just kept hanging in there and hanging in there. And
Yeah.
to see him succeed like this, that's a tribute to how hard he's worked.
It's almost like these quarterbacks that come out and go to shitty teams need to learn for a little bit and then they figure out how to play quarterback. I mean, it's
Yeah.
happening all over the league now. So,
Yeah.
but stoked for Geno Smith. And dude, I might be even more stoked for this cat, Mike Evans, bro.
Yeah.
Awesome the way it went down, too.
Yeah, no question. He earns a $3 million bonus. He tied it with a very, very late catch. And it was basically he had 5 catches for 85 yards in order to achieve a $3 million contract incentive. They had the game locked up, though. And here's the good part: they send him back out there. They know how much he needs, like 5 more yards, and they toss it straight to him. Set the play up perfectly. He moves ahead, picks up 8 yards or whatever it is, cashes in, and everybody's stoked. Man, that was exciting. Those 5 catches, 85 yards, they put him in the same boat with Jerry Rice, tying him for the most consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards at 11 seasons. So really, really obviously prolific and consistently great receiver. It's just great to see him get that extra cash bonus here. And they're on their way to the playoffs too. So it
Yeah.
comes in a win.
And dude, like I saw him after he just hucked that ball. I saw a ref go pick him up. I hope he got that ball back to Mike Evans. He was just so in the moment,
Right.
flipped it out. But like seeing the videos come from the stadium and how into it the fans were too, pretty cool. And they're like you
Stoking.
said, the reward is a playoff game. All right, Dave, what about the Glamour Boys?
Yeah, yeah. Up next, Aaron Rodgers. He had a career mark. There wasn't a money payday associated with this, but he did hit his 500th pass He had a really nice game, actually. Got his pass total for his career up to 503. There are only 5 quarterbacks that are on the 500 TD list. So the 4 that are in front of him, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Brett Favre, just 5 TDs in front of him. So if Aaron Rodgers does have anything left in the tank, he certainly, if he can make it past 4 plays in the season, he's likely to supersede Mr. Brett Favre. But then it will take him a pretty nice season to get to Peyton Manning at 539. It's a pretty long shot to get to Brees at 571. And Brady's
Nobody.
way up there at 649. So you can forget about that
I
unless
don't
you're going
think
to pay
we'll
to
ever
your
see that one.
50.
Yeah. Oh, and then, dude, give it up real quick for Lamar Jackson. Becomes the first quarterback with 4,000 passing yards and 800 rushing yards in a season, man. Lamar is playing some good football, but he's still postseason success has eluded him. Maybe it will be this season. Speaking of postseason success eluding this guy, this is a freaking travesty, bro.
Yeah, it's Jamar Chase. And he obviously their offense was just lighting it up. And we know Lou Anarumo gone on the defensive side. This defense just didn't hold up their end of the bargain. But you're talking about one hell of a receiver in Jamar Chase. He gets the Triple Crown. What that means, of course, is he led the league in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Wow, just an incredible season for a dude that is killing it. He ends the season with 127 catches, 1,708 yards, and 17 TDs. So, wow, just
The
wow.
travesty I was talking about, though, Dave, was my fantasy team and not drafting Chase when I had the opportunity. Well, dude, unfortunately, speaking of the postseason, there are going to be a handful of players that will not get to play in those games, even though their teams qualified.
Yep, it is getting started here. So these are just a handful of big-time, players. Christian Watson is out with a torn ACL,
Bummer, dude.
suspected to probably keep him out for most of next year as well, which is a huge bummer. Blake Corum, who is getting a ton of play there, certainly later in the season, getting more snaps, and then that last game in particular, he is out for the playoffs. He fractured his forearm there. Zay Flowers, the superstar second-year guy for Baltimore, he has got a banged-up knee.
Ugh.
There are mixed reports on that, whether or not it's going to be a handful of weeks or is he sort of week to week, day to day. They're being pretty coy about it. But I wouldn't expect to see him this week. And then next week we can start wondering a little bit more whether or not he's making progress.
Oh, that's a total bummer for those cats. They play their asses off all year and then don't get that coveted prize at the end. But Dave,
Yeah.
I got 18 teams that didn't get to sniff the postseason that are officially on the clock.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the top 18 teams in the draft. I'm going to fly by it, folks. So hold on to your pants. Titans, Browns, Giants, Patriots, Jags, Raiders, Jets, Panthers, Saints, Bears. That's the top 10. Moving forward, Niners, Cowboys, Dolphins, Colts, Falcons, Cardinals, Bengals, and Seahawks. That rounds out the top 18 spots that are locked and loaded. The remaining spots, of course, the next 4 will be the 4 losers, or 6 rather. Will be the 6 losers this weekend, then the 4 from the next weekend, the 4 from the next weekend. So we'll get this draft order coming out of us at a weekly basis as it fills itself out based on who goes out each week.
You think Mayo winning that last game for the Patriots and getting them out of that first draft pick had anything to do with him getting fired?
Maybe he was given specific instructions
Yeah.
to lose that football game. Who knows? The Titans, though, sitting pretty there with that number 1 pick. But they got a new guy coming in as Ran Carthon, as we mentioned, is gone. So it'll be interesting. That's a pretty coveted, deal there where you get that number 1 pick. You've got the,
and they got the track record of, ejecting quarterbacks out of there with only a couple years under the belt. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Maybe trade that pick and get a whole bunch if they believe in Levis. But that is a show for another time, Dave. The draft is in April, but we get something awesome in March, baby. Come on.
Woo! Whew, yeah. Well, sickos as we are, we love the spring league and so thankful that this one has come back and it's sort of establishing himself. The UFL returns, folks. It's the merger, of course, between the XFL and the USFL, all 43 games. So again, there'll be 10-game season for the 8 teams, right? And that gives us 43 games, a 14 playoff that will result in a champion there. It's the same 8 teams as last year. Good news, there's going to be a Friday night game, so get ready
Yeah.
for some Friday night football every single week. They set us up with that. It's the Renegade Stallions, Defenders, Roughnecks, Showboats, Panthers, Brahmas, and of course, the Battle Hawks, baby.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to get us through the doldrums, and
Yep.
the next season will be on here before you know it. All right, Dave. Survivor, 3 strikes. Ours ended in week 17, but there's a couple lucky bastards out there. Who were they?
Well, last week's most popular correct pick, that was Tampa over New Orleans, 14.5% basically there. The incorrect pick, 2 of them were pretty prominent. They were actually the most popular 2 picks. It was Atlanta over Carolina, no go there, and then Green Bay over Chicago. No thanks, no can do. So that probably finished off a handful more people. As I said, those were the 2 most popular picks on Yahoo's survival.
What about the sickos trying to do this crap in the postseason?
Go ahead. Most people are leaning towards Baltimore over Pittsburgh. And then if you want to get a little funky, you can go Buffalo over Denver.
Dave, but then you don't get to use the Bills the rest of the postseason. That's a donk move, bro.
Yeah.
Leave them out. You know what, though? The hell with all this fantasy stuff, dude. Let's
Yeah.
get to the real meat and potatoes. I'm
Amen.
talking, I almost called it Super Wildcard Weekend, but I didn't for you. It's just Wild Card
Thank you.
Weekend, baby. Kind of week 19. Week 19.
Yeah, week 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets started on Saturday too, Casey. Very,
Yeah.
very exciting the way they've
Oh,
scheduled this out.
yeah. Um, what happened to the regular season, Dave?
Oh, it's slipping away.
Yeah,
It
they
slipped
did.
away. The whole season's slipping away, but now we're in the postseason. It's just getting rolling.
And dude, we have 5 teams in the playoffs that have never won a Super Bowl. So I don't know the last time that we had that many teams in that hadn't done it, but hopefully it's one of those. And we have 2 of those teams in this first game. You know who we're rooting for, David, is our Los Angeles Chargers at the Houston Texans. And our Chargers are
Whew.
3-point favorites. Talk about them.
Yeah, how about these Chargers? Putting together a little offensive show in the last 3 games. Really kind of peaking offensively at the right time. Definitely putting some points on the board. They've averaged 38 points a game in the last 3 games. Justin Herbert has really, really kind of been unleashed a little bit here. And some of the receivers, Lad McConkey's had a phenomenal year, but also Quentin Johnston had a spectacular game last week as well. They had a little lapse in there late in the season. That was when J.K. Dobbins was out, and they struggle to run the ball when he isn't playing. He's a little banged up, but I'm expecting him to be able to go in this game. They did bring in Zeke for reinforcements there. Other side of the football, though, for these Chargers, Casey, number 1 team in terms of scoring, giving up points. So that's been really good. They kind of bend but don't break. But when they get down there close, they are able to prevent teams from scoring, giving up just under 18 points a game. So if they can hold teams to 18 points, they're pretty likely to score more than 18 points on the other side of the football.
And then these Texans, they've not played their best football late in the season. They've been pretty banged up there, dude. But
Yeah.
this was everybody's darling, especially CJ Stroud, to really take it
Yeah.
up a notch. And they've dealt with injuries, of course, everybody has,
Yeah.
but it's not been that jump that everybody anticipated.
No, and really kind of banged up on the offensive line. I think that's inhibited them. And early in the season when they were playing really well, Joe Mixon was really running the football really well. Several 100-yard games with a touchdown or two in the first 6 or 7 games of the season. That tapered off a bit, and that kind of coincided with their offensive line getting banged up, as well as he himself getting injured along the way there with that hip drop tackle that he suffered. But Stroud, as you mentioned, hasn't really lit it up here. Part of that, of course, is the lack of the receivers that have been available to him. Stephon Diggs went on IR like a month and a half, 2 months ago, whatever it is. Tank Dell goes down shortly after that. So they had Nico Collins out for a bit. He's back, but they do have Dalton Schultz there as a nice offensive weapon for them at the tight end position. But they're going to really want to establish the running game here against this Chargers defense that is it's pretty good against the run.
Mhm.
But if you want to look back at when the Chargers didn't have good football games, it's when they gave up a lot on the ground and allowed the other team to establish the ground game. Both these teams like to hold on to the football on the offensive side and win the time of possession battle. So it'll be interesting to see which team can persevere with handing the football off enough to get that success.
Yeah, and these Texans have been a much better team at home. But I really like what Harbs has these Chargers doing. They believe in what's going on there. You mentioned adding Zeke. I'm not sure we're going to see him this week, but
No.
it's a nice security blanket. You can trust him in the short yardage situations. But I like what's going on with this offense moving forward. And Herbert's been one of the QBs that makes the least amount of mistakes this
Yeah.
season overall. You can tell he's healthy again because he's been adding to that run game.
Yep.
So lots to be excited for
Yeah.
Bolt fans.
41-yard run for Justin Herbert last year, and back to the turnovers. Just 3 interceptions for Herbert, and they've held on to the ball, the running backs too. Only 8 overall turnovers for this Chargers team on the season. That ties an NFL record forever,
Wow.
not just
Yeah.
the Chargers. That's all teams in NFL history. So that's very impressive. No question.
It's going to be good, baby. Get it started the right way. Ow!
Right. Hey, we head into Saturday night with a brutal NFC North battle. AFC North, the Steelers at the Ravens. This is kind of a lopsided line, though. Ravens favored by 10. This one's on Prime, too, folks.
Yeah, dude. And I don't know the last time that we saw a team with a 9-point spread or 10-point in the Steelers Ravens matchup. But
Yeah.
started out with these Steelers, dude. They've been kind of free falling lately. Lost 3 or 4 in a row. They've been close in all those, but it just their offense is either it goes hardcore or it doesn't go at all. So
Yeah, for
and in a
sure.
game that they had to have against Cincy, Russ and George Pickens, it just wasn't working out. I mean, there was actually a couple great defensive plays against him, but they just could not get it going. And if they can't get that going against these Ravens on Saturday night, it is going to be a long day. Um, I, dude, this is going to be a grimy, brutal game. You mentioned earlier that no Zay Flowers for these Ravens, but Dave, we talked
Whew.
about it last year when the Ravens got into the playoffs, got to the Chiefs in that game. They had Lamar throw it 38 times, and I think they ran it 14 times. If that happens on Saturday night, the Ravens deserve whatever the hell they get. But I cannot imagine that happens with the king in the backfield ready to feast, dude.
Yeah, and let's talk about this Ravens team. You mentioned before the season that that Lamar is having. It's 40, I believe, 41 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions for Lamar. The team has 4,000 passing yards, so that's Lamar, and 3,000 rushing yards on the season. So a really insane. They have 40 passing touchdowns, 20 rushing touchdowns. So some really prolific numbers. They are number 1 in total yards per game offensively, right? And rushing, they're number 1 as well. They are 5th in time of possession. That kind of goes along with running. And if this is a cold game, perhaps out there, this is a physical game. We know these two teams never come without being brutal on each other. There's going to be a physicality. when you look at the other side of this Ravens defense, though, for the beginning of the season, it was really lopsided, and the numbers remain so. They are 31st in defending the pass and number 1 versus the run. But lately, they've been a lot more balanced, and they've sort of figured their defense out. And the last 6 games, 8 games, whatever you want to say, the second portion of the season as we've led into this playoff push, we've seen this defense really come together. And it has to do, as we've mentioned before, about really bringing the safety back into that safety position where he can survey the whole field and make all of those plays that they he's one of the best safeties in the league. Who am I talking about? The Notre Dame.
Hamilton. All right, Hamilton.
Right. This defense is also second in the league at getting sacks. So that could end up being a super crucial element of this game if they can put Russell Wilson under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, dude, you mentioned it. That's the formula. They hold the ball for over 31 minutes a game, get King Henry with the run game, force Russ to have to pass. You mentioned it, second in sacks. That is a bad formula there. And dude, your guy, my guy, former Sooner, Mark Andrews, 0 touchdowns through his first 5 games, 11 touchdowns since. This offense is waking up. If they need somebody to jump up in place of Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, baby, that might be the dude, bro.
Yeah, and they got those other tight ends too that can get it done. Likely and Kohler are also people that can, dudes that can play a role at that tight end position. So we'll see. Is Bateman good to go in this game? Do we
I
know?
think he is. I'm not sure. But, man, you mentioned those 3 tight ends on the field, and they
Yeah.
can all catch the damn rock, and they can all block. That's a tough matchup for opposing defenses. So
Yeah.
it's going to
Yeah,
be
when you can
interesting
line
again.
up in 2 tight ends and then bring in Patrick Ricard at fullback and then just hammer the 250-pound running back. Again, if they don't run the ball more than 15, 20 times or something, everybody should be fired. The
More than
Harbaugh,
that, Dave,
everybody else is
20
just want to hand
minimum.
it off,
But,
hand the
Dave,
thing off.
we were talking about this earlier. These Steelers, every time they look like they're dead, they make that play that gets the game close somehow. They
Yeah.
just always keep it going. But it's been a while, I think since 2016, since they've won a postseason game. So Tomlin's not a guy with a lot of heat on him to perform, but they better figure it out. And, the third matchup with the divisional team is going to be sexy. All right, Dave, let's go ahead and move this on to Saturday. We have the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills are 8.5-point favorites, dude.
Yes, and I'll tell you, what about this Broncos team? Uh, you know, um,
Bo
Malcolm
Nix, baby. Come
Yeah, I was gonna
on.
say Malcolm in the Middle's got them really going in the right direction. Give a lot of credit to Bo Nix, no question. As a rookie, he's really, emerged as a consistent guy. It took him 3-4 games beginning of the season to really kind of start to really, get comfortable there.
Yeah.
Sometime around that Charger game, I don't remember which game it was, but we were blowing them out in the fourth quarter. Next thing you know, he really started lighting it up, and it seems like that kind of got it going for him, where he was feeling like, "Hey, man, I can get this going." And they've got some really nice weapons at the receiving position. Cortland Sutton, this 7th round, I believe, rookie Devon Vele has really emerged, and I think Marvin Mims, if I'm not
Former
mistaken,
Sooner.
right,
That's
your
right.
guy.
2 TDs last week.
So they can really get it going offensively there if Bo Nix gets into a rhythm, and he's kind of a rhythm kind of dude. So if he can get comfortable back there and they don't put a lot of pressure on him, then you can look for Bo Nix to kind of tear up a defensive secondary.
And it helps when they get the run going, and the run has been real hit or miss for these guys. They have a great stable of backs there, but sometimes they just can't get it going, and that kind of
Yeah,
puts a little too much on Nix. But you got to watch that guy too, because when he breaks out, he is fast. You just don't want him to be your leading rusher. You need a good
yeah,
balance to take
right.
some of that pressure off him. This is a big play offense, dude. They can get
Yeah.
it going, man. And
And running back Jaleel McLaughlin has been good there. Audric Estime, the rookie out of Notre Dame, is a big dude that's
mhm.
faster than you think. But really, when you look at this Broncos team and you think, where do they get it really done? Defensively, they've been exceptional this year. Vance Joseph coordinating them, former head coach there, now the defensive coordinator. He's got them playing some great defense. They're third in points given up, so just over 18 points a game. So just a hair off of where my Chargers are in terms of points given up. They get after the
Talk
quarterback
about
on
my
that
guy
side.
Nick Bonito, baby.
Benito has turned into an absolutely dominant linebacker, dude. They're number one in sacks in the league. So if there's a key to this Broncos team somehow finding a way to get this less likely win going to Buffalo and getting this done, it has to do with getting after the quarterback, not letting them letting him take over the football game, not letting Josh Allen move out of the pocket and putting a ton of pressure on him, making him make some bad decisions. Kind of trying to get him back into that mistake-prone Josh Allen that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, and this Broncos team, dude, besides your Chargers, they lost by a touchdown in that crazy Cincy game. Other than that, they've won the last three. So they've been playing some pretty good football heading into the postseason. But the Buffalo Bills have been playing pretty good football all season long. And you mentioned Josh Allen there, dude. I don't think that cat is mistake prone ever again. He's taken his game to a complete another level, dude, and it's something pretty exciting to watch.
No doubt about it. I mean, he has really that was the thing. He always had sort of like forced a big boneheaded play where he tossed a pick and tried to become, make too much out of a play that wasn't there. But they got rid of some of those people that didn't really mesh well with them. This year, he really took on that I'm the leader of this team kind of vibe. And that resulted in this team sort of blossoming. More guys, you didn't have to force the ball to a dude because he was going to throw a tantrum on the sideline. You just get the ball to the dude that's open when nobody's open. Of course, we know what he can do, take off and use his legs. But this is the team that's second in the league, scoring almost 31 points a game. So they know how to put points on the board. And they're nicely balanced, ninth in rushing, ninth in passing. So when you think about this offense, you can't just take one player away. I mean, unless you're planning on trying to take Josh Allen away, which was mentioning earlier. You have to find a way to limit him. You're not going to stop him, but slow him down. But if he can distribute the ball like we've seen, then this team can really, really be difficult to hone in on. What do you take away?
Yeah, and hopefully Keon Coleman is getting a little bit healthier. He's looked better last couple of weeks. Hopefully Amari Cooper is feeling pretty good in this one as well. But, dude, you're talking about the run game. Dude, James Cook, baby, 16 TDs on the year. This guy has been a catalyst for explosive offense. He's really coming into his own as one of the more elite backs in the league.
No question about it, dude. He is much more than I thought he was when he was I thought he was a little smaller version of his older brother, but he has, I didn't know that he was going to be an every down back like that, like we've seen him become this year. He's very, very explosive, catching the ball, running the ball. So he brings everything there, and he's a super dynamic weapon for this Bills team.
And they don't do a lot well on defense, but they do take the ball away, 16 interceptions. So that's pretty good when you're going up against a rookie quarterback, especially if you can put him in half to pass situations. Should be pretty fun.
No question about it. Okay, we should move on to the next game, which is the middle of the 3-pack on Sunday. It is going to be the Packers at the Eagles, Casey, and the Eagles are at home, favored by 4.5 points in this one. Get it started.
Yeah, dude, the Packers 11-6 are a 6 seed, man. We saw Jordan Love get banged up a little bit last week. Hopefully he's okay for this one. And we really thought that they would miss Aaron Jones, but Josh Jacobs, dude, has come in and has been absolute battering ram for these guys. He has some of that Aaron Jones energy on the field. So there's a ton of weapons. This is a very young team. You mentioned no Christian Watson in this one, but still plenty of weapons for Jordan Love. These are both pretty good offenses and pretty good defenses. So it's going to be an interesting mix. These guys played each other in week 1 in Brazil with the Eagles getting out of there in a game that the Pack kind of gave away with too many mistakes. We'll see what happens in this one. But that Packers defense has been outstanding. they take the ball away at an incredible rate too, and they get after the quarterback pretty well. So, but you flip this over to these Eagles, dude. I don't know that I don't think he practiced today, but Jalen Hurts in the concussion protocol a couple weeks after the initial injury. This team looks much different without Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it's definitely an enormous difference. And even lately, it's sort of shown in the way their statistics have panned out for the season. At this point, they are ranked the 29th best passing team in the league. And a lot of that's because Hertz hasn't been in there lately. And I just think they haven't been anywhere near as productive as they had been prior to that. So, total yards still, they're eighth. So they really can run the football. They're second best in the league at rushing the football. Time of possession, because of that strong running game, is a strong suit for them. They're third best. They keep it for over 32 minutes a game. So they're going to want to lean into that run game. And Hurts is a big part of that game, though, that running game as well. One of the things about this Eagles team, though, is on the other side of the football, man. They don't give up very many points. Second best in the league, under 18 points a game. They're total yards given up is number one in the league. So they're very, very difficult to move the football on. They're the best passing defense in the league, and balanced too, because they're 10th against the rush. So overall, a really, really solid, well-rounded defense. Well-rounded on, I would say, the whole thing, but that offensive rushing game is so Hurts dependent,
Mm-hmm.
and when it's down that 3rd and 1, it's Hurts who can really most effectively do that brotherly love push there. So if Hurts isn't 100%, I mean, he's got to go in this game, right?
I don't know that he can, dude. I mean, it's here. It's what is today? Today's Wednesday. If he still hasn't practiced, dude, I don't know. After a 3-week absence, still in the protocol, that's a
It's
lot to
really
ask, dude.
frightening. Yeah,
But and if I'm the Packers, I'm like the one guy that's not going to beat us is Saquon, dude. He
yeah.
got his 2,000, but you stack the box. If it's Pickett, you make Kenny Pickett beat you. So it's
Woo!
going to be a very interesting matchup. It'll be a shame if Hurts can't play, but he's running out of time, man. It's going to be interesting. It's going to come down to the wire. He's going to go if there's any way he can, but you
Yeah.
can't mess around with a
Now with the
concussion.
concussion protocol, I mean, you got to
Yeah,
pass the tests, right? I mean,
yeah,
this isn't like a pain threshold issue. This is a concussion issue, and there's, the concussion protocol to get through. It's as simple
yeah.
as that.
Crazy.
All right.
All right, we got one more game. We got the triple header on Sunday. The night game, we got the Commanders at the Bucs, and the Bucs are 3-point favorites in this. Talk about Jayden Daniels, bro.
Ooh, what a great season for the rookie quarterback, right? No question. He has been electric, both with his arm and his legs. And I mean, it's just so exciting to see how he can just move around and create plays. They've got some really nice weapons there. Scary Terry McLaurin, even Zacchaeus has really emerged as a dude
Mhm.
that can get some stuff going there. And of course, Zach Ertz has been back lately and really been a contributing factor there. But these guys can put points on the board. They're fifth in the league scoring at 28.5 points a game. They are seventh in total yards per game. So they are rush heavy, though. Third in the league rushing the football. The triple header at running back has been in and out of the lineup with injuries
Mhm.
there. But Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, and Jeremy McNichols really can all contribute for this Washington offense.
And Eckler's that dude. He just came back, I think, last week from his stint on the IR. He can make something out of nothing. We saw it a ton with the Chargers. Looked like
Yeah.
little screen pass to him was going to be a 2-yard gain, and all of a sudden he's to the house. They need a big game out of him if they're going to get this going. But dude, talk about the sacrilege, and bro, my guy Baker Mayfield, 41 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards, and he gets a Pro Bowl snub. Guess what, dude? This guy wants a different kind of bowl. And the first word of that is super, and he's playing like a dude that can get him there.
No doubt about it. Hey, this is almost the best thing that could happen to this Buccaneer squad is they ignore Baker because he's used to having a chip on his
He
shoulder.
loves that shit, baby.
Right?
Loves it.
This is like, hello, you just got him going, man, because that's what really motivates this dude is to prove everybody wrong. And he's such an exciting dude to watch play. I mean, when they literally clobbered the Chargers, it was the only blowout of this season for my Charger squad, and he was outstanding. Uh, we couldn't even lay a finger on him, man. Anytime anything happened in that pocket, he rolled out of there. He bought some time, found somebody downfield. You got Mike Evans to go to. McMillan has
Dude, this
been a
cat,
beautiful new weapon.
McMillan, in the last month of the season, I don't know, there's been a
Yeah,
hotter receiver, bro. This
no
guy's
doubt.
had, I think, like 5 straight games with the TD. Not the only rookie getting major contributions on this Buck squad. Maybe the steal of the entire draft, dude.
Oh yeah, no.
Bucky
Oh yeah,
Irving.
we got to talk about a fourth rounder, man. I mean, but we've both gone over this with our team's fourth rounder and wishing that this dude was on our
Oh my
squad.
god.
Bucky Irving is an absolute beast. With the way he runs with such physicality downhill, catches the ball out of the backfield nicely too. Rashad White, the other dude. Sean Tucker had a couple of nice games this season as well for
Mhm.
them, but Bucky Irvin has emerged as the dude second half of the season for sure. And man, can these guys run the football? I mean, they are absolutely dangerous. They fourth in the league scoring at 29.5 points. Um, they're third in the league in total yardage. Would you imagine that? Third in the league in total yards, third in passing, fourth in rushing. Hello, balanced and very, very productive. These guys, people are sleeping on how good this Buccaneers squad is.
Yeah, dude, and they lead the league in time of possession, top 10 in sacks, number 4 against the rush. So, um, they're gonna make Jayden Daniels have to beat him, and if they can just contain him on those runs, that will be pretty difficult
They're
sledding
also
for
great at
him.
getting after the quarterback too.
Yeah,
Sixth in
so
the league in sacks with 46.
and just so stoked for Baker, dude.
Yeah,
I love the way he's playing. So that
fun to
is gonna
watch him
be a good
play, isn't it?
game. And like I think everybody, maybe not, Saint fan or Panther fan, uh, but or Falcon fan, but everybody else I think has an appreciation and love for Baker, man. We
Yeah,
saw that game when he came out 2 days later for the Rams and destroyed the Raiders. That kind of jump started
that
his
was
career.
awesome, and I'll
And
never forget that one.
he bet
That
on
was a day.
himself and he's found a great home in Tampa. They love him and the rest of the NFL watching world loves him. And
No
I'm
doubt.
just
And when it
rooting
came
hard.
down to them getting in or the Falcons getting in, they took care of business and the Falcons didn't. And they were in the driver's seat anyways from having swept the Falcons. And honestly, when I was looking back, I was like, God, it would be. I mean, I like the Falcons and Bijan and the whole package there, but it would have been a shame for this Buccaneers team to sit out of this playoff.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a fun one. All right, Dave. What makes this weekend so super, Dave?
It must be because they snuck in a Monday Night Football playoff game. This is an intervention or an invention that the only thing that could top this is sliding one of those Sunday triple header games to Friday. Oops, did I just say that? I'm just
Ooh.
saying. But let's get on to this Monday Night Football game and its playoffs, baby. It is the Vikings at the Rams. And the Vikings are on the road, just a 1.5 point favorite against our Los Angeles Rams.
The 14-3 5 seed Vikings are a 1.5 favorite on the road.
Woo!
Yeah, dude, and coming off a little beatdown at the hands of the Lions on that Sunday night finale, but I don't think it was bad as that score indicated. The Vikings were moving the ball all
Mhm.
night. They just couldn't score in the red zone. And they went on fourth down more often instead of kicking those field goals.
Yep.
And then the game got away. If they'd just been stacking those, I know field goals aren't sexy, but you're sitting at 12-7 instead of 7-3 or whatever it was. And you're
Mhm.
gonna need the points and you got to play smart in the playoffs. And now everybody wants to shit on Sam Darnold for this one game. That's a great Lions team. I'm not ready to go there, dude. I love Sam Darnold, and he's one of the reasons this team is 14-3, if not the main reason.
No question about it. I mean, Sam Darnold is one of our like redemption stories of the year.
Mhm.
If we want to talk about like the comeback player, he's kind of in that category. No, he wasn't hurt last year, but his season was which is pretty much ruined by the Jets in the first few years, and for him to kind of find his way in the way things unfolded for him, and he had his opportunity, the great coaching with Kevin O'Connell. Um, this team around him with the weapons that he has, and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor has really emerged. If you try and take either of those two other dudes away, Hawkinson, who was out for a good chunk of the season, but has really emerged again as a go-to dude. There's a lot of weapons, and you're right. They didn't have a great game the other night, and it didn't work out for them in the one game that sent them on the road here as a 14-win squad to go on the road. But this is a team that can absolutely dial it in and put a ton of points on the board there. They're sixth in the league in passing this season, so they really know how to put up ninth in scoring. So it's a really solid team, no question. Although one thing I want to look at, though, on the other side of the football is the way they've got their defense playing. Is that sort of like very confusing. We don't show what we're doing until kind of the snap happens. And then who's coming, who's blitzing, who's fading into coverage. And that kind of defense, they're awesome against the run, second in the league. They are fifth in the league in getting sacks, and they're number one in the league in creating interceptions. So those are huge factors. If those come into play in this game, then it's going to be good news for this Viking squad. It's going to get the ball back to Sam Darnold and that explosive offense. Can this defense get their job done?
Yeah, and then you flip it over to the Rams. Sean McVay decided to sit all his starters in Week 18, and they ended up losing to the Seahawks. They knew that they had the division, but that could have been different. They could have been hosting the Commanders instead of these Vikings. We're going to see if that was a misstep or not,
Right.
especially Justin Jefferson coming off an incredibly disappointing game last week. I think he's going to look to make amends on there, especially under the lights on Monday night. Speaking of under the lights, with these fires, this game might move to Arizona. They're going to want to keep it in LA if at all possible. So hopefully these winds die down and these firefighters can get some rest and put some of these fires out. But talking about our Rams, dude, just a grimy team, a slow start, and then one of the better teams down
And
the
so
stretch.
banged up. So when you
So
think
banged
about
up.
resting the guys for that last week, think about what happened. Their offensive line was decimated in the preseason. They've been getting guys back. Dudes going down. Cup missed time. Puka missed time. So many dudes banged up on the squad. Such an incredible coaching job by McVay to get this group to kind of coalesce and come together, put together this playoff run here. And in that sense, I'm thinking, you know what? All right, sure. They did draw a tougher game here, perhaps in the opening round, but you know what? Maybe they really are going to benefit from that rest.
Yeah, dude, Kyron Williams, man, this guy has been electric, almost 1,300 rush yards, 14 TDs on the year. It's a bummer that we're not going to get to see Blake Corum in this game. You mentioned the broken arm. He was really coming on. And then, dude,
Yeah.
we all know Puka. I love him. One of my favorites, Cooper Kupp, but Tutu Atwell and DeMarcus Robinson and the rookie Jordan Whittington have been playing pretty good football. Let's see if those guys can step that up into the postseason here. But Dave, the Rams have been hitting money on these late round picks, and they've really already rebuilt this roster. On the other side, Kobe Turner from just a little while ago, Jared Verse, the rook coming in, and Brandon Fisk, dude. These guys are awesome, and they're paying immediate dividends, dude.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They absolutely, they said F them picks. That's really not what they meant. What they meant was just F that number one overall pick for a handful of years. They masterfully traded back and actually had more picks than almost any team in the league last year. And man, do they hit on, like you said, those late picks, grabbing those dudes. I think they got their first rounder, I think, in a long time, and he hit too. So guess what? They know what they're doing when it comes to scouting dudes. And when it's great to have an assembly of decent talent, but it all comes together when you've got the right coaching, and that's what McVay and his staff really does so well. They put the dudes in position to win football games, and uh, you know this Rams team might not have as many talented football players as the Vikings right now, especially when you look at that offensive arsenal of the Vikings. I don't know, though. When you look at this Rams offensive arsenal, when everybody's clicking, this could be a very, very exciting football game.
Yeah, dude, and depends how these last couple years of his career go. Matt Stafford knocking on the door at the Hall of Fame. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if he's in. You could argue he's been around a long time. Has got that Super Bowl, dude.
Right.
He can get hot. We saw it last year. They lost by 1 point to the Detroit Rock City Lions. This
Woo.
one they're hosting, man. It is gonna be a lot of fun, dude. Dave, how stoked are you, bro?
Dude, I am completely stoked for this Super Wildcard Weekend.
Oh, he's on board. Yeah, baby.
Ah!
That's what I'm talking about.
Get in
So
there.
many ways you can check out the football dudes. The Trend Zone available for subscription. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music.
Yeah, that's right. It's all there for you. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us on Instagram and Facebook. Follow us on X at Football Dudes LA. Make sure you tag us across all those social media platforms. Thanks.
And while you're out there surfing those interwebs, go ahead and bookmark footballdudes.com. That is going to do it for this episode of the Trend Zone. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. For Dave, I am Casey. Super Wild Card Weekend. Come on.